Salve omnes, welcome to this video lesson on Fabulae Faciles, the easy stories, section 30, the seventh labor of Hercules, the Cretan bull. Tum Eurystheus Herculi imperavit. Then Eurystheus ordered Hercules. And just to note briefly, Herculi is the dative because impero, imperare is one of those verbs that takes a dative for the person that you do a thing to, okay? So just a reminder, like impero, imperare does this, pareo, parere, to obey, takes a dative, credo, credere, and most verbs that mean believe or trust take a dative, as do nocio, nocere, to harm, placeo, placere, to please, and parco, parcere, to spare. Okay, so he ordered Hercules, ut tarum quindam ferocissimum ex insula Creta vivum referet. That he do something. Okay, now we're dropping into an indirect command. Ut, or ne, introduces an indirect command. Okay, so ut or ne. And these will have a subjunctive verb. Referet is an imperfect subjunctive. All right. He ordered that, okay, it's translating as that here. He should bring back, referet, a certain very ferocious bull, taurum quindam ferocissimum. Okay, quindam is coming from quidam, quodam, meaning a certain. Quindam, by the way, is essentially what's happened to quim when it's been combined with dom. So when the dom goes on the end of the quim, as often when M happens right before a D or a T or a C type sound in Latin, it turns into an N. You see that in words like hunk, which is made from hum and ke, and many other places as well. Okay, so that he bring back a certain ferocious or very ferocious, ferocissimum is superlative, very ferocious bull, taurum, ex insula Creta, from the island of Crete, vivum, alive. And notice that vivum is agreeing in accusative form with taurum. Right? Ille igitur, he therefore, navim conscendit, boarded a ship, or embarked upon a ship, climbed aboard a ship if you wish, right? Conscendit, just a synonym and a derivative of scondo, scondere, to climb or ascend. Ascendo and descendo are a couple other common derivatives of that. Et cum ventus idoneus esset, and when there was a suitable wind, statim solvit, he immediately set sail. Now, solvit, of course, literally means looses or loosens. That's where we get solvent and solution from. But idiomatically, it is often used in the context of sailing to mean to release your anchors and or mooring ropes, and thus to set sail in the English idiom. Cum tamen insulae iam appropinquaret, when, nevertheless, he was approaching the island, and the island, the insula here, of course, is Creta, Crete. When, nevertheless, he was now approaching the island, and by the way, the cum clause here is also taking a subjunctive verb. We had esset up above and appropinquaret here. Both are imperfect subjunctives inside of a cum clause. So when there was a suitable wind, the esset inside of that cum clause, and then when he nevertheless was approaching the island, appropinquaret, another imperfect subjunctive in a cum clause. These are called cum clauses of circumstance or circumstantial cum clauses. We translate the cum as when, and you need a subjunctive verb. Okay, back to the translation. When nevertheless he was approaching the island now, tanta tempesta subito coorte est. so great a storm, tanta tempestas, suddenly arose. Subito coorta est. Now, coorta est is from coorior, cooriri, coortus sum. This is a compound of orior, or riri, ortus sum, and orior, of course, is where we get orient, orientate, oriental, and it has to do with rising or going up. Okay, so co is just that prefix that we usually see as cum or con, but sometimes you will get it shortened to co like this on Latin words. So essentially it means the same thing as the other, right? We could have said orta est, arose, but coorta est, rose up or something, right? So great a storm suddenly arose, ut, and now we get another subjunctive clause. Now, ut can start indirect commands like we had a minute ago, ut taurum and so on, but it can also start result clauses, and that's what we've got here. So great a storm that, what is the result of the storm being so great? So great a storm arose suddenly that, the result was, and thus we call it a result clause, that a ship, or the ship, meaning the ship of Hercules, non posset, was not able, cursum tenere, to hold its course. That is to say, to stay on track. It's going to get blown off of course. Tantus autem timor, so great a fear, moreover. So tantus goes with timor here. Moreover, so great a fear. Animos nautarum occupavit, seized or took hold of, occupavit. Of course, our word occupy comes from that. Took hold of the minds of the sailors, animos nautarum. Okay, and now we're going to get another result clause. So the tanta up above, and now here the tantus in this sentence are what I call signpost words. These tell you you've got an adverbial result clause coming. Some other examples besides tantus aum would be tales, tale, which means such, ideo, or not ideo, sorry, adeo, and ita, and seek, and tote, and tom. All of these little words can be signpost words saying, hey, and adverbial result clause is coming. So, or such a thing is happening, that this was the result, okay? So, such a great fear occupied the minds of the sailors, however, ut, that, paene omnem spem salutis deponerent, that they put aside or got rid of, deponerent, almost all hope of salvation, almost all hope of safety. So the paene is the almost, omnem spem, all hope, salutis. Now, salus salutis can mean several things. It can mean greeting, or it can mean health or safety, or in maybe a certain context, salvation in the sense of saving somebody from harm. All right, Hercules tamen, Hercules nevertheless, et si naviganti imperitus erat, even if he was imperitus, inexperienced, navigandi, in sailing. Now, navigandi is literally a genitive of the gerund, so literally inexperienced of sailing, but our idiom for that, we would say inexperienced at or in sailing, I would say. So that is what we call an objective genitive, working with or complementing imperitus. Haud quaquam teritus est, in no way, haud quaquam, was frightened. Okay, so Hercules, nevertheless, even if he was inexperienced in sailing, was in no way frightened. Okay, post breve tempus, after a short time, summa tranquillitas consecuta est, the highest tranquility followed, et nautai, and the sailors, qui se ex timore jam receperant, who had already recovered themselves from fear, Navim incolumem ad terram apulerunt. They drove apulerunt. That's a compound of apello, well, it's a compound of pelleri, right, to push or drive. They drove the unharmed ship, in other words, the safe or intact ship, navim incolumem, to the land, terram. Hercules en navi egressus. Hercules, having walked out of the ship. Et cum ad regim Cretae venisset, and when he had come to the king of Crete, calsam veniendi docuit, he taught him or told him, docuit, the cause of him coming. Calsam veniendi. Veniendi is another genitive gerund here. By the way, it looks like I dropped out the est, but the egressus est together, of course, that's the departed or walked out of the ship, a navi. Okay, so let's see. Here we again get a subjunctive verb in a cum clause. When he had come to the king of Crete. So the venisset here is a pluperfect subjunctive this time. I can tell that because of the infix isse, I-S-S-E. All right, so pluperfect subjunctive had come. All right, dende, then, postquam omnia parata sunt, after all the things were prepared, ad eam regionem contendit, he hurried or strove toward that region, quam taurus vastabat, which the bull was devastating. Mox taurum vidit, soon he saw the bull, et quamquam res erat magni periculi, and although the thing was magni periculi, of great danger, that's a genitive of description or genitive of characteristic. Genitive of description is kind of like the ablative of description. You can say somebody is a person of great wisdom or with blonde hair or something like that. So you can do these kind of little descriptive noun phrases in either the genitive or the ablative. In English, we usually do them with either of or with, although the of is not always where Latin would have a genitive, and the with is not always where Latin will have the ablative. Okay? So although it was a thing of great danger, cornua eius prehindit. He grabs, prehindit, its horns, the bull's horns, cornua eius. Tum cum ingenti labore monstrum ad navem traxiset. Then, when he had drug or had pulled, traxiset, the monstrum, to the ship, ad navem, with great effort, ingenti labore, cum praeda in Graeciam rediet. He returned into Greece with his loot, cum praeda. And of course the loot here is referring to the bull. And he never did kill the Cretan bull. He took it back to Eurystheus and let it loose in Greece because Eurystheus didn't want it. So it was actually Theseus who later ended up having to kill it. Theseus who also killed the son of this great Cretan bull, which was the Minotaur. Of course, the Minotaur in Latin is Minotaurus. All right, well, I hope you learned a few things here, whether it be vocab or about the story or maybe some grammar, or maybe just reviewed something useful. Valete omnes.